All right, third grade, adding fractions. I want to point out a few things here. We are adding fractions that have the same denominator. What is the denominator? I hope you're saying the bottom number. Okay, denominator on these are 8. They're all eighths. Okay, we're only adding how many of the eighths we have because we have eighths. Okay, so let's read the problem. Anne, Tom, and Jody painted a fence. Anne painted 1/8 of the fence, and Tom painted 3/8 of it. What fractional part of the fence did Anne and Tom paint together? So they want you to take a piece of paper, and you can do this if you want, and make 8 parts. 8/8 equals 1 whole. So we're going to take 1/8 and color it. And then that represents Anne, what Anne painted. Now we're going to shade 3/8 more. So let's take the 1/8 that Anne painted. Let's shade 3 more. 1, 2, 3. That will be 3/8. So then if you add 1 and 3, you get how many eighths? 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty simple, right? 4/8. Now write an addition sentence that tells the fractional part of the fence that Anne and Tom painted together. 1/8 plus 3/8 equals 4/8. Now add the numerators. 1, 3, 4. The denominator stays the same. Can you repeat that for me? The denominator remains the same. It stays the same. Don't change that. You do not add these. You only add the numerators. Okay? Now, you can also use a number line to add fractions. We have 0/8, 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, and 4/8. So you start here, you count 1. That's Anne's. Now we're going to do Tom's. 1, 2, 3. And we get to 4/8. So now we know that. 1/8 plus 3/8 is 4/8. Now, let's go over to the next page because what we're going to do next is really fun. And we've done this before, which is what I really like about this, okay? So we're going to look at, remember this grid here? It's just like my big one over here, okay? It starts with a whole 1. See the 1 right there? Yeah. And it has 2 halves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and cut it right down the middle. So half is on this side and half is on that side. Now it says locate the sum on the fraction table to the right. So we just got 4/8. Right? 4/8. Let's get that in the picture. 4/8. Now they want you to look at this chart and they want you to find the equivalent fractions. That means that they're equal. They both equal the same thing, all these fractions. So we start here, half. The thirds don't work. Now we go to the quarters. 1, 2. 2 quarters equals 1/2. Right? This is all the same amount because you see that's half of the picture. 1/2 of the picture. Then we have to skip the fifths because they don't work. In the sixths, we can use 1, 2, 3, 6. That equals 1/2. Then we have to go to the sevenths. Can't do them. Eighths. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our fraction right there. Then we can go to the ninths. No, ninths don't work. Tenths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tenths. See, because the reason ninths don't work is it cuts one of them right in the middle of it. It doesn't cut it. It's not an exact. See, all of these have that little line there that show that they are exactly half. Okay? Tenths work. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tenths. And then 11ths do not work, and 12ths work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, what do you notice about these numbers? All the denominators here. Okay, these. We have 2, 4, 6, 10, 12. And 8 is here. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. They are all those are even numbers. And what do we know about even numbers? They can be divided by what? By 2. Okay? That's why you can make these equal 1/2. Okay? So let's look at this. 4/8. If I divide, remember when I'm simplifying, we did this in class when it came up. We divided the numerator and the denominator by the same number to reduce them or to simplify. So I always like to start with that number there and see if it works. 4 divided by 4 equals 1. And 8 divided by 4 equals 2. So we see that 1/2 and 4/8 are equivalent. We see it here too on the picture, but we know it mathematically. That's what it means, okay? You can do that with all of these. 2/4. I like to try that number first. 2 divided by 2 will give me a 1, and 4 divided by 2 will give me a 2. Okay, you see how that works? It works for every single one of these, even with the odd numbers on top, because I'll show you why. Look at this. Let's do 3/6. I'm going to take the 3 and try to divide that. So if I divide 3 divided by 3 equals 1, and 6 divided by 3 equals 2. 1/2, 3/6. Equivalent. They equal each other. Okay? So what they're going to ask you to do on the rest of this sheet is use fraction strips or number line to model each exercise. All I want you to do is to add them, okay, and then simplify them. So we have 1 plus 1 is 2, and 3's stay the same because they're the denominator. So when you add fractions of the same denominator, you only add the top numerators together. So this is 1/3 and 1/3 is 2/3. So can we reduce this or simplify this? That's right. The answer is no, because you can't divide any number into both of these and get a whole number. You have to get a partial number, like a decimal. So that ain't going to work. Okay? All right. So that answer is 2/3. This one here, oh, this is number 4. We should really have to go to number 2 over here, but I don't want to show the answers to all of these. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to let you do the rest on your own. Just remember, important things that you need to remember for this are that you add the numerators. You add the numerators. Okay? You add the numerators and you keep the denominators. Okay? The same. The other thing that you have to learn, you have to remember about this, run out of paper. The other thing you have to remember about this is that when you reduce them to or simplify them, that means that they're equivalent. Okay? So 4/8 and 1/2, they're the same thing. It's just cut into different parts. It's like the equivalent fractions that we learned already. Use this to help you. This is 1/2 and 1/2, okay? And remember, your odd numbers are going to be different because they're not divided by 2, okay? All the odd numbers that are on the denominator, okay? All right, I think you can do this. If you have a question, contact me in the Google Classroom. See you later. You are number 1, class.